Hello, everyone. This is an exciting day for me. This is my first chats with Dr. Lenny, if only for the love of learning. And I'm really excited because several years ago, Claudius Record, the CEO of VS America, invited me to join them on a trip to Germany to actually see VS in the real life in Germany. And it was an amazing adventure, and I learned so much. But what really struck me was the school museum. And today I'm excited because what's really cool is my first guest is Dr. Thomas Müller of VS
Hello.
Germany. And
Mhm.
I'm really excited to have you here with me today, Thomas. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello to everyone. And Thomas, how did you come up with this idea of starting a school museum? It's a journey across the centuries of school history. What was that original idea and where is it located?
It is located in our campus here in Tauberbischofsheim. And I personally had been involved with schools almost all of my life. First, of course, as a student, and later on, I managed the company in the third generation, and I started here at 1987. And at that time, my father passed away, but he left over quite an inspiring collection of furniture. But he collected these furniture only for the purpose to study the design and the construction of these items. And when I had in mind our centenary for 1998, I thought it would be a nice idea to install and create an exhibition of the history of school furniture on a very comprehensive level. And that meant that I had to collect even more furniture, of course. And I had the intention not only to give to our visitors a very international collection to look at, but also to show a little bit the background of the school furniture. And the background of the school furniture, of course, is first of all the interior design and, of course, the architecture of a school, and additionally, all the issues of pedagogy and all the social developments which we experienced from 1875 to today. So it's a show of almost 150 years.
It's absolutely amazing, and it's just stuck with me for all these years. And there is a historical organization to the museum. I believe you call these chapters. What was the organizational inspiration for these?
Um, the basic organization, of course, is the timeline, but we tried to split up the whole 150 years into characteristic periods. And after this split, we looked for appropriate headlines for each chapter. And if you think, for instance, for the Bauhaus period, which is quite a characteristic period within our exhibition, then we looked for a title and found the title Light, Air, and Sunshine, which was the main interest of the architects in that period.
Well, when you come into the museum, this is often one of the first vistas that you see, which you can see is just absolutely amazing. I love the fact that on the right, you've got these little tiny models of the furniture, but on the left, I actually think I learned to draft on one of those boards. That looks very familiar to me.
Yeah.
Um, Today, though, let's share some of the highlights that you just talked about as it relates to furniture design and construction, but also that school architecture and, of course, VS's historical connection to Montessori. So let's begin there.
Here you have a small overview about the VS production, and it all starts with the school bench, which you see on the left, and on the right side, according to the timeline, we have then different designs and different chairs from our production. This was the nucleus of our company. At that time, around 1895, most popular in schools had been the multiple seaters. That means that 4 to 5 students shared one bench. And my grandfather invented then with an architect called Wilhelm Rettich the double-seater school bench. At that time, he had um, to refer to two main problems. The first problem was hygienics. At that time, we had a lot of diseases, and there were no antibiotic medicine at that time. So a lot of the tuberculosis and influenza were quite common, and a lot of people and also students passed away. So hygienic issues were most important. And for that reason, cleaning was a very strong argument for this school bench. You could tilt over the bench in that position, which you can see on the left side. And cleaning at that time with this system was very easy and very effective. And the other thing about this school bench is the ergonomics. We had at that time also a lot of scoliosis and kyphosis, and he looked together with the architect very much into the ergonomic situation and tried to prevent as much as possible these diseases.
But what I find really interesting about this particular photo, Thomas, is the fact that I think we're still maintenance driven design, but for all the wrong reasons. So this was a really important and forward thinking product to develop.
Yeah, at that time, we had also the time when other lessons were introduced to schools, such as visual arts, performing arts, natural sciences, etc., but also practical work. And here we see on the right side a class of girls which are taught in cooking. And on the left side, we have again the double-seater bench, and on the below you can see a double-seater bench, which was more or less constructed in the same principle for Scottish schools, a cast iron bench. Later on, that was really a radical new approach to design. We have the Bauhaus period, and the furniture then became much more lighter and more versatile. And there had been no more benches and combos between seat and table. So group teaching at that time was already possible. And on the right side, you see a classical cantilever as it was designed in the Bauhaus by Mart Stam or Marcel Breuer. And on the left side, we have a lovely table, and it's an integrated design concerning the tabletop and the bookshelf by the famous architect Walter Gropius. And in the middle, we have a very light furniture for group teaching, which was done by BS at that time.
What's interesting to me is when we look at the Thonet here, as a design educator, I often took my students to different factories here in the US. We have a Thonet factory actually in the Carolinas, and they went through that. And this is classic Thonet. It's beautiful. And I love this one. You have to tell me about this one. But as a designer, I'm always trying to help people understand how to use furnishings in different ways. when I look at this light in 1955 and we have all of these varieties, it's like, how come we wound up with row by column seating? So this is interesting.
Thanks to the Allied forces after the Nazi time, which was really a very bad time and backwards oriented time, uh, right after the Second World War, we started a lot in Europe and also here in Germany with a group settings in the classroom. And we see different layouts here on the right side. And even the swivel chair, which today is very common, was introduced at that time. Of course, this chair at that time was a little bit clumsy and too heavy and not adjustable in height in respect to the seat height because there were no gas lifts at that time. But at least in Germany, we tried a lot with the help of the Allied to completely reform the school settings and to organize all schools much more democratic than it had been in the 12 horrible years before.
Well, I think it's fascinating. And I also would say if you have a chair that can at least turn, you can turn and talk. So it makes it very
Yeah,
simple
yeah,
to connect with
yeah,
students. So this
yeah,
is really quite brilliant.
yeah. So the most common chair at that time was the skid chair. It was not a swivel chair. It was a very easy, very versatile chair. You could use this chair in the classroom, of course, but also outside, and move it quite easily. And due to the fact that this chair had these two skids, it did not sink into the ground if you go with a chair outside. So we have now the photo of this lovely circle, and this the students here are singing and make music, and it's a wonderful atmosphere.
Well, what's interesting about this photo to me is two things. One, just looking at all the details that it takes to actually think about and the design of that chair. One chair, it's almost like building a building. And then when you see all of these students in a circle, they're actually learning outside. And we have some new products that are coming out to really think about that. It's not just play outside, but it's actually learning. So this chair
Yeah,
was that versatile to be able to just take it inside and outside. It's terrific.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all oh, sorry, yep, next photo. Yes, this is our department of kindergarten and preschool furniture. A lot of famous architects were interested in designing kindergarten furniture because they thought about their own children and wanted to do something for their own family. Here we see a collection of very nice children's furniture used in schools, but also used at home for learning. And architects like Alvar Aalto or Charles Eames or Arne Jacobsen or Werner Panton, they all made a wonderful contribution to that uh, question of design. And at the wall in the background, we have also some um, international chairs, like from Harry Bertoya or from Arne Jacobsen, and it's quite a holistic collection of uh, children and school preschool furniture.
What I love is when you come in here and you just stand there and you look at this amazing collection. It's just beautiful. First of all, with the different materials and color and back, but the fact that it spans so many architects and so much time, it really brings it home that people have really been working hard to try to understand how to design for the learner in that evolution of their own bodies, and it's really quite a beautiful setting.
Mhm.
So, when you think about the architects, as you've mentioned, what are some of the architecture that began to be housed here in these educational places? And I'm sure you have some stories that we can tell about collecting what some of these examples might be.
Yeah. Maybe we can have the next slide. Yes. Um, the Scottish architect Charles Rennie Mackintosh in 1903 to 1906, when the school was opened, designed this lovely school in Glasgow. And the amazing fact about that school is that he really had a very generous budget available. And the school shows a very rich facade towards the street. The back facade is a little bit more simple, but the school also shows the first steps into co-education. At least in this school, boys and girls could come together into the building, but then they were split up and separated for the lessons. And the girls went to the left entrance and the boys to the right entrance, and they had wonderful designed staircases, wonderful colors in the glass within that staircase. And Charles Rennie Mackintosh also cared for the furniture we have seen just before, the double-seated cast iron bench, but he also cared for every detail, for almost every handle of the doors. Everything was designed completely. So a very holistic approach towards design. And on the right side, the small little building, what you can see is the house and the apartment of the facility manager of that school. Today, this building is actually is a school museum, and we asked the same company which once made the model for the Glasgow community to create for us a second copy.
Wow. I had the opportunity some years ago to visit, Glasgow, excuse me, and because Charles René Mackintosh is one of my favorite designers, and it's truly amazing, and I managed to go to several other sites in Glasgow as well because I'm just enamored of his simplicity and beauty at the same time. It's wonderful.
Uh, this, of course, 20 years later, is a complete new and modern design done by the Austrian American famous architect Richard Neutra. And the classrooms are organized within a circle, and each classroom has access to the garden and light from both sides. So this was the first school design organized in a circle, and you see two main buildings on the right side. On the top, there is the auditorium, and there is a gym, and there's even in front of that building a springboard into a pool, which is located in the middle of the circle. And on the left side, we see the administration building, which is also used as a cafeteria. Uh, the interesting fact, or one interesting fact about the school, is that Richard Neutra obviously uh, knew before he designed this school another interesting building, which was owned by the Fiat Automotive Company in Turin, and they had on the top of the roof, they had a runway for testing, for a final test, the cars before delivery. And he installed for this school a athletic runway also on the top of that circle, uh, in that ring plan school. The school actually then was built about 40 years later in the 60s in California.
Wow, and you'll see several architectural firms are building a type of ring school today. So it's interesting to see this history so futuristic in 1926.
Of course, you need a lot of space. This is a suburban school. This could not be a school in the middle of the city. contemporary of Richard Neutra is Otto Häsler. He designed this. It's more a city school with a lot of levels for the city of Celle in Germany. And this school has two main wings, and in between the gym. And the gym itself has additional light from the roof. So bringing as much light as possible, natural light as possible to the building and to the classes was a main issue at that time. And in front here of the big photo, you can also see the headmaster's home. It is also a very modern building of that time with nice terraces and the possibilities not only to stay inside but also outside when spending your time in that building.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about Crow Island because Americans might actually have had the opportunity to visit this school. And I heard an interesting story about how you managed to get connected to the school. So I'd love to have you share that story.
Yeah, first of all, of course, this school is quoted almost in every book about school architecture of that time. And it is designed by the Finnish architect, father and son, Eliel and Eero Saarinen, together with Perkins and Will in Chicago. And when I visited the Neocon fair in '96, 2 years before we opened our school museum, I was, of course, very much interested to know more about this school. And for that reason, I visited the Chicago Historical Society and their photo archive. And I found a huge amount of wonderful photos of that school. And by looking at these photos, I was so much inspired that I decided, since I had still some hours left, to directly go to the school. So since the standard telephone line was busy all the time and there was no cell phone at that time, I just came to the school by taxi. And when I spoke with the front desk lady, she told me, okay, I'm sorry, our headmaster is busy the moment. If you want to wait, but I can't promise anything. But after 2 hours, the headmaster, Elizabeth Hebert, had pity with me, and I explained her our project of installing a school museum, and it was amazing. She was so helpful. We then went into the basement of the school and looked between dust and dirt for some furniture, which was designed by Eero Saarinen together with Charles Eames. They had been schoolmates in Cranbrook in the United States, and Charles Eames helped Eero Saarinen a lot in designing these furniture because this was the first plywood seat shell for a chair in general. And for that reason, it is really a pioneer's work. And we are very happy now to have different furniture of that type here in our museum. And if these furniture are in auction, each of these chairs can easily be sold for, let me say, about 20 to $30,000.
Well, what was interesting, I too had the opportunity on, I think it was an AIA, CAE tour. We went to this school, and what's interesting to me, it's not just a museum. This is a living, breathing school today, and
Yeah.
that stewardship of thinking about the why they wanted to be able to create this experience for the learners is very much alive and well, and in fact, very ingrained with that idea of stewardship, that idea of longevity, which we don't often find
Mm.
with schools. So I think that too is a beautiful piece of history.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a wonderful piece of history, and it's a completely new idea to have, for instance, light from both sides. So
Yeah.
the layout of the whole school and of each classroom is really amazing, and it's also amazing how much space you have, which
Yeah.
also helps to split up the students into different groups at different settings. And you have even the piano in front and another playground on the left. So that school really was a new chapter in school architecture. And each classroom also had, we see it on the left picture down, th- had a preparation room, which also, of course, could be used for a smaller group. So, and an individual toilet and wash basin. So, very, very, uh, very well equipped.
Yeah. Sometimes I think we need to go back before we can go forwards.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites in our museum. It's the model of the Riedhof School. It's a school in the outskirts of Zurich in Switzerland, done by architect Alfred Roth. There's a special story about Alfred Roth. He worked a lot with Corbusier in Paris, and was in charge of different major projects of Corbusier. And at that time, he built up also a friendship with the Dutch painter Piet Mondrian. So Piet Mondrian and Alfred Roth became close friends. And additionally to that fact, when Alfred Roth founded his own office later in Switzerland. He also published a lot about school architecture, and you see the title of the book on the photo here. It was translated also uh, in French and in English, and of course, basic language is German. So a wonderful pavilion school, which he designed in the hills of Zurich. And due to his passion to Piet Mondrian and the primary colors, he also designed a gangway between two wings of that school. And the original painting of Alfred Roth in the style of Piet Mondrian can be seen now here on the photo in the colors blue, red, and yellow. And when I asked him to make a contribution for our museum, he was already 91 years old, but he was very open to our project, and he not only gave me the model of the school, which is all done in cherry wood, but he also gave me his original drawing of that marvelous gangway, which you can also see on the top of the book.
Yeah. It's just a beautiful model. I mean, to have it made in wood, you can just see the craftsmanship is so extraordinary.
Yeah, yeah, it's extraordinary. Yeah,
And when you actually are there to see it, it almost takes your breath away that someone took that kind of time. It's
yeah.
just amazing. Yeah.
And cared so much about the details. Here we
Exactly.
have a school which was built after the reunification of Germany in the city of Dresden. And the well known architect in Germany, Günter Bedisch, who also designed the Olympic Games buildings in Munich, he did a lot of school architecture. And I would say that one of the best schools which had been designed after the reunification in Germany is his school in Dresden, the so-called St. Benno Gymnasium. And this school has very lovely terraces and an open courtyard to the side of the building or the side orientation towards the the non-traffic area, whereas the traffic area is on the opposite side where I am standing with Günter Behnisch's son, Stefan Behnisch. The school is very light, has very wonderful staircases, and I will talk with you about the staircases in modern schools later.
Yeah. One of the things that I think is interesting about this is that it's so fragile. It's in its protected area, so it's quite nice. But in addition to this expertise that you've shared here, not only in your work with VS as the CEO for many years, but such a collection requires a lot of passion. Are there any special places or pieces that you found hard to get? And what might that be in terms of what you found for the museum?
In general, I would say when we opened the museum, the only way to get additional furniture was to go into the basement of the schools or to go to flea markets or to go to antique shops. This was the way physically to visit the place where you can find uh, the furniture because there was no internet at that time. And for instance, my wife helped me a lot in looking around in antique shops and flea markets, etc., etc. Difficult to find at that time were furniture from Jean Prouvé, a famous French architect and designer. He also had his own factory, and in that factory, he was producing furniture, but not only furniture, but also prefabricated buildings and also schools. So he was a uh, all-around genius of architecture, Jean Prouvé. And right after his death in the 70s, his furniture became in the community of aficionados in architecture very expensive. When I started collecting furniture for our museum, at that time we only paid about $5,000 for such a school bench. But later on, these furniture became really very expensive and hard to find. Amazing that in California, in Los Angeles, as well as in New York, there are also many collectors of Prouvé furniture. And the last item which I uh, could purchase, can you show us the next picture? Yes, I bought the last piece of Prouvé furniture this summer, actually, and it's a lovely chair, original designed by Prouvé for, as a conference chair, but he used this chair also for his prefabricated schools and for classrooms as a teacher's chair. And I could buy this chair for $30,000 this year in an auction in New York.
Wow, that's amazing.
Some
It's
people,
it's amazing.
some items are really expensive. Others, of
I
course,
guess so.
easier to get.
Yeah. Look at this image though, Thomas. I mean, you can tell it's an early photo, but just all of the light coming in and the angle looks very contemporary. And this was not contemporary. This has got some history to it, right?
Yeah, it is an amazing school which was built in Copenhagen by the architect Arne Jacobsen, and you see a lot of natural light coming from the wall, from the left side. But in the middle of the classroom, there's even an elevated light from the roof in the top. And of course, in Scandinavia, we have long winter time. This is a very, very well lighted uh, classroom, which Arne Jacobsen designed at that time. And if we take a look to the very light and nice furniture on the right side, there's an extra story because the interior architect at that time in the office of Arne Jacobsen was Werner Panton, and Werner Panton later on became a very prominent furniture designer, and he also worked a lot of VS. And when I came in contact with Werner Panton, I asked him to give us a door opener to that headmaster of that school in Copenhagen. And we together traveled to that school and managed to persuade the headmaster to give us some lovely furniture of that school, which today are, of course, then located in our school museum.
I think I'm beginning to understand. You're pretty persuasive. I think I'm catching that.
Uh, Hans Scharoun, also a hero of architecture design in Germany after the Second World War, won a wonderful competition in 51. And the model, unfortunately, was lost. And then we asked the faculty of architects in Darmstadt, where uh, this competition took place to make a second model, since they had the drawings of that school, of that layout and the design from Hans Scharoun. And the students built for us a second copy of that school. It's a secondary school split up in different wings, a very organic design. And that organic design, split up in different pieces, makes the school really uh, easy to handle, especially for the younger students. And
So this model was then built specifically for the museum for
yeah,
you?
it was specifically built for the museum, and the design of Scharoun, he didn't. The county of or the city of Darmstadt did not realize this school at all, and Hans Scharoun then used the basic ideas of that competition for another school, which we see in the next picture. Yes. Uh, Hans Scharoun, also a designer of the Berlin Philharmonic Concert Hall. Many elements are similar to the concert hall, has now built and realized actually this school in the northern part of Germany. It has a lot of natural light. It has not a strictly rectangular layout, and it has a lot of possibilities to the left and to the right for extra activities. And he also cared a lot about the colors which are used in that school. A wonderful school with a marketplace, and students still today appreciate, as well as the teachers, of course, appreciate very much the design of Hans Scharoun.
Yes, I can see there's a lot of thinking about the textures and the
Yeah.
orientation, finishes. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, very interesting.
Hermann Herzberger, Dutch designer from Holland. We have in common the root Maria Montessori designed that school for the city of Amsterdam. It's in the outskirts of the city, and the main railroad track is in front here. And in order to protect the main building from too much noise, he placed then the administration building and the labs as a second building, just to keep the noisy street and the noisy railroad away from the building. But when I came to Hermann Herzberger and asked him for a contribution, my idea was to show, we see it on the next picture, to show the staircases which Hermann Herzberger designed as a, from my point of view, as a first architect. He introduced these very lovely staircases to schools. We see a curved staircase in the ground floor connecting to the first floor, and we see these lovely podium staircases between the different levels. Also in the photo, you can use this staircase as an informal meeting place, as a marketplace for the students, as an auditorium. And if you have these additional elements on the different steps, you can use it as a normal staircase, or vice versa, as a as an auditorium. And this idea of using the staircases as an informal meeting place, as an auditorium, or just to make a break, or to meet with your friends, brings the whole community of the school very much together. And it's a lovely idea for functional, multifunctional use of areas which formerly did only connect at different levels.
I love this too, and this photo, when I first saw this, when we started generating this, slide deck to put together, I thought, "Oh my gosh." So in the States, we would call the name is referred to as the learning stairs.
Mm.
But very often, we just don't see the intricacy. When you look at this picture, you see this opportunity at the top of this staircase area where you could actually have a performance because
Yeah,
that's sort of in the round, and then
yeah,
you've got these multiple layers that are going on. It's so rich and so inviting. Unfortunately, I think a lot of times here we see, you walk up the side of the stairs here, and here's the bigger set of stairs over here, and it's just it might be it's certainly not as inspirational as this is. This is just it's so welcoming and looked
yeah.
like so much fun to be there, so,
And today, almost we see this kind of idea in almost every country.
yeah,
And yeah,
yeah. Not to the degree that his thinking is here, though. It you would think, yeah.
yeah,
And tell us about this because I think this is an interesting quote, and Philip is your son,
yeah.
and now the heir of BS, and what is that, the 4th managing director now? Is he number
Yeah, he is the fourth managing director now in our family.
That's interesting.
And here we see his statement about Maria Montessori. Actually, my grandfather and his grandparents, uh, he met Maria Montessori when she gave lectures in Berlin about her new ideas, her new philosophy on education. And at that time, Maria Montessori was already very well known and had a great influence in education. And my grandfather then found that the teaching material of Maria Montessori would fit into his furniture program. And he asked her to get the license to produce these teaching material and also to sell it in the German speaking countries, such as, of course, Germany, Switzerland, and Austria. And Maria Montessori also cared about the furniture. She would like to have, of course, no school bench, but different split up furniture, chairs and tables separate. And her principle was to focus on the individual child. And we see now here different groups working in the classroom. Some are working on the floor, some are working on the tables, but each student is really focused and interested in that what she or he is doing. And that is, from my point of view, one of the big advantages of the Montessori principle, that you look very much on the individual progress and ability of each child. So
And I
different
find it
groups.
fascinating too, Thomas. If you look at this photo, we see tables with curved edges. We see
Yeah,
tables that obviously at different heights and that.
yeah,
Already thinking about that scale,
yeah,
I would think, of the individuals and also the roundness of things. Again, keeping it looks like a natural finish so that you're bringing that outside in as well.
yeah,
Very, very thoughtful for
yeah.
work that she was doing.
Yeah,
And here's
unfortunately, the Montessori era was finished in 33 when the Nazis came into power. My grandfather, my grandmother, she also worked in the Montessori organization and was a good friend of Maria. And here we see the original teaching material in these wonderful colors. Uh, and that material was produced by my grandfather around 1915.
wow. And this is an amazing exhibit in the museum. Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about this too?
Yeah, and this material is mostly for developing the senses. There's also, of course, the mathematical material, and the idea of showing uh, uh, these material to the public was initiated by the director of the Bauhaus Museum in Berlin. When he saw this material, he asked me to make an exhibition in Berlin because there are so many similarities between the Bauhaus approach of developing the senses for the students as well as for the senses, of course, of the kids and the students which came to school in a Montessori school. So there are a lot of similar approaches in teaching between the Bauhaus and the Montessori theory about how to learn and how to feel and how to hear and how to see and what's about colors and all these visual and sensual uh, impressions which we have to train.
I really didn't realize that there was that connection between the
Yeah.
Montessori and the Bauhaus. That's quite
Yeah.
fascinating.
Mm.
Yeah, very good. Now, so over the years, VS has documented many of these connections and efforts, and you have some books as well, one on Montessori and the classroom. And
Yeah.
when I was privileged enough to get both of these, are in my library. The classroom seems like it's almost like a little bit of a hint about the museum. It goes through a
Yeah.
number of the pieces of the museum. So my question is, how can people can they get access to these? And then also, is there an opportunity to actually visit the museum?
Yeah, the museum is basically open for everybody. You have to, of course, to go to our front desk in our main building to get access. Uh, in reality, mostly teachers and people from education or from the design departments of universities or architects are visiting, of course, uh, our museum. But in general, it's open for everybody. So if you get in contact with us, there's no problem to to show you the exhibition. With the books, it's a little bit different, but maybe I pick up your idea of asking me and make a second edition. Both books are published by publishing companies. The left one by Wasmut and the other one by Prestel, but they are completely sold out. But maybe I should care for a second edition. The Montessori book, of course, is a historic book. We just should maybe reprint it. But the left one, the book about the classroom, maybe I think about a new edition in the
There we
future.
go.
Yeah, yeah.
There we go.
Might be an idea.
There we go, and this is kind of interesting to me because it's sort of I know you have guest books that are in there, but tell us about this special one for you.
Yeah, there are, of course, we get a lot of feedback from our visitors, and if they are affiliated with education, they of course are surprised by the fact that in one place you find more or less the complete history of the physical school life from 1875 up to today. And here we have a little letter from a former superintendent from Michigan, and she says you can see it in a better writing on the right side. Thank you for your amazing curation, and thanks for your work to preserve our global school experience. That's what I had in mind, and I'm of course very thankful and grateful if our visitors, uh, yeah, appreciate our efforts.
I think it's truly quite extraordinary. It really is a global connection to learning, which is fascinating. And here we have something that's kind of probably a little bit of something to share with us. What were you collecting here, and what's this exciting project that's
Yeah,
still
it's
all disassembled?
yeah, this is a really quite a prominent design of the office of Corbusier in Paris for a library in India. And the design actually was done by Corbusier's cousin, Pierre Jeannery, and it's a tablet writing chair used in a library in India. And I bought this chair in Paris, and our transportation partner picked it up in Paris and brought it to Tauberbischofsheim. Unfortunately, he had also a lot of leftover rubbish furniture on board for our recycling department. So the destination of his load was the museum for this wonderful chair and the recycling center. He landed first at the recycling center, and all the furniture, by a big mistake, was taken out of the truck and immediately uh, broke down to burn it afterwards. And you see the poor and misery leftovers of the chair. In the last minute, we could stop the burning. And due to the fact that we have really very passionate restoration workers, which care also for our museum, we managed to rebirth the chair as it is seen in the left side of the photo. And it also, or it still has the patina, the original patina. So out of uh, more or less leftovers and completely destructed parts, we uh, we gave life to the chair again.
Oh my gosh, that's just truly amazing to see all these little itty bitty scraps
Yeah.
put back into a chair. That's fantastic. They
And
truly are
the
magicians.
network of the backrest and of the seat is it's a wonderful work, but we still could study it and completely refurbish it. And today it's a part of our museum. And if you don't know the story, you really believe this is the original.
Yeah, that's it. The story is magical, though. That's
Yeah.
great.
Fortunately, it happened only one time.
I want to thank you so much, Dasher. But I do have to ask you, what's next? I'm going to ask before we close. What's next?
Okay.
Thank you about a couple of things.
Yeah, I'm retired, and
Oh,
I have to hand over the museum to the next generation. But once you are a collector, you stay a collector.
yeah.
And I would like to make a relaunch of the museum and hand it over to the next generation. That will happen in the next 2 or 3 years, the maximum. And for
Okay.
that relaunch, we have a lot of additional furniture which we would like to show, and we would yeah, it will be. I don't will tell you too much about it because it should be a surprise. So please
Okay.
keep
Okay. I
keep
think there needs to be a travel route too. I know people
yeah.
go to Finland to study that. I know they go to Reggio Emilia to study that. I think, there's sort of a route. Can't you just see this route? If you're going to travel to see these things, you have to go to Finland, then you have to go to Germany, then you have to go to Italy, then you can come home, right? It becomes this educational tour.
Good, good.
It's always delight. Thank you, Thomas, so much
Thank
for being
you, Lenny,
today, being my guest.
for that interview. Thank you very much.
It's great, and thank
Yeah.
you also to Ed Market for, supporting this journey. Bye, everyone.
Good. Bye bye.